Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Wrestling with the Future. Tonight, wrestling Texas style. Everything's bigger, badder, and bolder in Texas, including their wrestling. And tonight, I've got the creme de la creme, the best of the best. I've got Mr. Texas himself tonight. I want to introduce the panel to you. My co-host, my permanent co-host, now that Jim and Jake Hudson took a powder on me, Amelia FIRECRACKER Chapman. Welcome to the panel, kid.
Well, hey, how's everyone?
Everything's well here. We'll see
Doing
how
good.
well you do tonight and whether you show up next week.
Oh, I won't abandon you, I promise.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Oh, I made a promise.
From
That don't make a shit, you know.
from the great state of Texas, Jimmy, don't call me a Philly anymore, Phillips, former pro baseball player for the Philadelphia Phillies in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Jimmy Phillips Jr. How are you, Jim?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Absolutely wonderful.
Great.
And I saved the best for last. They call this man the Continental Lover. May as well call him Mr. Texas because he and Scott Casey drew more money in the state of Texas than the Alamo. And I'm going to tell you what. Thank God for Eddy Mansfield. He's my friend. He's my buddy, my pal. And I almost didn't have a show without Eddy Mansfield. So, brother, I love you and welcome back to the fold.
Well, Angelo, thank you so much for having me. And, you know, the guest you just introduced, you know, I love pro baseball because I used to play it. And my hats are off to you. And congratulations for being on Angelo's show because you're on with a guy. And I want everyone listening, hey, scoot your little happy ass up and you're going to learn something tonight because you know something, when you listen to Angelo, you learn stuff each and every week, whether you like it or you don't. And a lot of you goofballs don't like it, but it's okay. You know what I mean? Because, you know, thick people, you have to keep beating them upside the head until it gets in, Angelo. And you're doing a great job. And you know, you have one of the best shows out there.
Thank you, my brother.
And
Thank you
it's
so
an
much.
honor for me to be on it with you.
I appreciate it. You know, I'll tell you what. We are legitimately on 168. Oh my God, what was it? 168. Hold on. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong number. 268 radio stations worldwide. Unofficially 271. 3 of them are still MIA right now, but we're for sure 268. We are on 2 television stations, the Skynet in Canada and BBC4 in England, and on 305 podcast platforms domestically, and that's just in the U.S. So we're very happy to be where we are. We're very happy to have Pepsi as a sponsor and Manscaped.com with us for 3 years now. So we're doing something right. And we have, hey, look, anytime you got Eddy Mansfield on the show, you're doing something fucking right, okay? Anytime you got the Continental Lover, you're doing something right. This man may as well be called Mr. Texas. And I want to start with you, Eddy.
Okay.
The changing face of Texas wrestling over the last 10 to 12 years has been dramatic, to say the least.
Yeah, I went from sugar to shit.
Yeah, well, leave it to Eddy Mansfield, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tell you, this is unfiltered tonight. Eddy doesn't mince words at all.
And he's
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
So-
am right. Yeah.
So talk to me, Eddy. What happened? Where did it all go south, my friend?
Oh my God. That's a long story. You'll have a lot enough time for that one.
Brother, I got 2.5 hours if you want.
When Southwest kind of folded,
Yeah.
and that's because of Tully Blanchard being so disrespectful to Paul Bosch and other people. Well, you know, he's just a prick. He's
Well,
always
how
been
much?
a prick.
Eddie
I mean,
Yes.
he could draw
Yes,
two knobs of goat shit.
exactly.
His
Thank
daughter
you.
has more talent in her left kitty than he does in his whole body.
Oh,
Thank
he's
God
great.
somebody
You know,
said it.
She is absolutely great.
you,
I
you know
agree.
yeah, and how she, you know how she got that way, because of Magnum TA, not because of his little old.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
I don't want to go there, because you know how Scott Casey and myself feel about him,
Oh, I'm
because
telling you, bro. Yeah, I do.
Oh,
he
mhm.
did not,
Yep.
he couldn't draw two knobs of goat shit,
I know it.
and he still couldn't. He had to
Yeah.
sleep with a belt.
Yeah.
His girlfriend was a belt. He had to have a
Yeah.
damn TV belt. I'll never forget. I used to do booking meetings with Wahoo every Tuesday,
Mhm.
Oh man.
and we'd go. And Wahoo lived up the street from me in San Antonio, and because his daughter, got my condo, and so
Mhm.
for me, and furnished it and everything. And she made it look really nice, and that was Nikki, and
Yeah.
Nikki McDaniel. And so,
Mhm.
bottom line is this: when we could set our watch at 10:30 every Tuesday morning, and he'd call and say, "Hey, when am I going to get the belt?
Yeah.
When am I going to get this? When am I going to get that?" You know something? I proved to the whole freaking world that I could make Scott Casey a star, and we could sell out
Mhm.
every stinking arena in the state of Texas without a belt. And
Done
so
deal.
what I did, let me
Mhm.
tell you something, Angelo,
Yes, sir.
and everybody who listens. Here's what I did.
Mhm.
I told Wahoo, here's what you need to do. You need to put Gino and Tully together, give them the tag team belts. Then that way, you and Ivan
Yeah.
and you and Tiger Conway
Mhm.
can work with them, and Chavo, and
Mhm.
mix it up. And then me and Scott has the top spot.
Mhm.
And then that way we got the gratitude for we're the ones who are drawing the house, not
Absolutely.
those guys. It was Scott
Yeah.
Casey and me, and it's like Shawn Michaels even said at the Cauliflower Alley Club. He said one of the top 3 matches he has ever seen in his whole career was a hair versus hair with Scott Casey and Eddy Mansfield.
Yep. Mansfield and Casey. Yes, sir.
Mhm.
That was just magic. Sometimes
Yeah.
you get with people, then you have magic, and then there's sometimes
Yeah.
you no matter how hard you work, it just doesn't work.
Well,
And
Eddie, that's a segue for a great question. I have to ask you now. You're a guy that's been around this a long, long time.
Mhm.
yep.
When did the magic disappear?
Oh God.
What was
it
the catalyst for wrestling in the Southwest and Texas, particularly around Dallas, Amarillo, Fort Worth, that area? What happened?
I got to say this. One of the proudest sellouts I have ever sold out was Amarillo, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you why. I sold it out with a black guy by the name of Tiger Conway Jr.
Yes, sir.
in West Texas in Cowboys.
Mhm.
And there wasn't a funk on the card. And I always used to rib Terry about that. Me and Terry are real close.
Yeah.
And I would always say, something, Terry? We sold that out without any of you funks on the card. What does that tell you? And he used to go, "Okay, Fast Eddie, that's enough of that." And so, and it's like, it was, I used to love the ribbon. And, that's how hot, let me tell you something.
Oh,
I was the
God.
hottest heel in Texas for 2 years. I mean, something, the bottom line was I got over. And not only talking, but I can work. And
Absolutely.
I only got stabbed 7 times in the great state of Texas.
Only?
So it's like only
Only?
7 times. Yeah.
Jesus, man.
The problem was they wouldn't stab me in my ass. They would only stab me in my everywhere else but there. And so it's like, man, come on. And so I love Texas, and I love Texas wrestling. And let me tell you something. When you talk about Texas wrestling, what separates real Texas wrestling from wrestling is, let me tell you something. We were hardcore. We moved furniture.
Yeah, boy.
We did stuff that only
boy.
people wish they would do.
Mhm.
I mean, we did that for a high spot, believe me. We were ECW before ECW ever thought about being ECW.
Yeah, no kidding, brother. No shit. I'll tell you what, Amelia has a question for you. Well, I've been on the phone with like Amanda's, and all kinds.
I've been called Amanda. It's okay.
No, she's got a question. Amelia Firecracker Chapman. She's got a question for you. So go ahead, Amelia.
Shoot.
What? How well did you know Gino Hernandez?
I knew she was going to do a Gino question. I just knew it.
I knew it.
Well,
Of all the questions she could ask you, she got to ask you about Gino, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Well,
who wouldn't,
Gino,
right?
Yeah, Gino was Paul Bosch's illegitimate son, and so when you talk about Gino, I got Wahoo to put them together to, where Scott and myself had a top spot. And so, okay. Well, when you talk about Gino Hernandez had probably one of the biggest breaks in the business because of Paul Bosch. And Gino, he could get some heat. I mean, him and Tully, it's like he dragged Tully along because Gino was so much better than Tully.
Exactly.
And so when you look at Gino Hernandez, the handsome half breed, is his work in the ring was very, was strong. And God, it's hard to. I'm just not going to tell you what he always did and always, it's none of my business, and it's none of your business to know that. But bottom line is, Gino Hernandez was good in the ring.
Oh yeah, of course.
And what he did on his own time,
that's separate
like
from the ring. Yeah, no, I just want to know the wrestling part of him. That's what I meant. I'm sorry, I should have made it more clear.
Well, Gino Hernandez was probably one of the top heels in the business. I mean, there was a couple of young guns like him, myself, and there was a couple others around the country, but we got over, and the difference is we got over. When we got over strong. That's how come I put him and Dickhead together.
Oh, definitely.
Eddy, you brought up something really important, Eddy. You were a heel. You always were a heel. Gino was always a heel. What was it about Texas that was so heel heavy, and why could almost at one point they couldn't even get enough heels? They took a guy like Frank Goodish, Bruiser Brody, and bounced him all over the place. He was a baby face, then he was a heel. Yeah. And then
Yeah, but let me tell you something about Bruiser Brody. I know, and Frank was a dear friend of mine. Buck Robley and myself used to have a breakfast with Frank a lot. And but you know something? He never got over like in San Antonio like I did.
Well, no, I know that.
Ever. Nobody, there wasn't a son of a bitch in the world that did what me and Scott Casey did in San Antonio. The only guy that broke my record, and he gives me kudos, because if I'd have had the damn dome to draw with the hair versus hair, we would have drew 45,000, 50,000 people. And so we turned away at the Hemisphere Arena, almost 20,000 people. That's unheard of back then. And
Crazy,
so,
man.
yeah. And so, and so when Shawn Michaels broke my record, when they did, I think it was a WrestleMania there. Hell, if you can't do it with WrestleMania, shit. I mean, you know, with millions of dollars that's put in there, you know, there wasn't 2 knobs of goat shit put in our damn, you know. It was either you did it off of TV or you didn't draw. Because Joe Blanchard was cheap, man.
Incredible. Jimmy Phillips, you got questions for Eddy Mansfield?
Yeah. Do you remember when Fritz did the fake heart attack in Reunion?
No, but you know something, everything about Fritz is fake. And so
Yeah,
I never had, that's just one of the promoters I had not 1 ounce of respect for. Not only did he kill every one of his damn kids and do things that was unheard of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Eddy, there's a lot of people, Eddy, don't know the story that you and I know. They don't know the history that you and I know. For the sake of decorum, we're going to let them rest in peace. We're not going to go there, but I understand where you're going with it.
Yeah. Well, when you asked me about Fritz, you know, he worked that Dallas area very well, and he made a lot of money out of it.
Yeah.
You know, that Metroplex made him a ton of money. And the guy he really screwed is the guy who really made him a lot of money was Playboy Gary Hart.
Exactly.
Well, that's I'm glad. And Jimmy, why don't you follow up on that, Jimmy?
Well, you know, Gary Hart was against that whole idea, you know, but we're talking about, you know, when Texas took a downturn,
right?
Me being in East Texas and getting to see world class every Saturday night and Saturday morning, man, it was when he did that. It was like somebody, they didn't let the air out of the balloon. They popped the balloon.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, that was
in attendance never recovered. And, you know, Dallas is a still good wrestling town, but you got to go in there with the right people. You got to have a smart guy, a smart booker, and you don't need a bunch of agents. You don't need a bunch of bookers. You need one that knows what he's doing.
Thank you very much. I'm glad I heard that. And so,
because there's some good talent in Texas still, but it's not business anymore. It's friendness, and that does not make you money.
You know, ass kissing never made you money.
Nope.
And you know what I mean by that.
Neither did comedy wrestling either.
No, it damn sure didn't. Joke. You know something? That's how come I never worked Memphis. They used to beg me to come in and work Memphis, and I wouldn't work Memphis because there's a clown show.
It was. It was.
And when Jerry Jarrett called me, you know what I told him? I said, let me tell you something. I don't eat bologna steaks. You understand?
Yeah.
I eat real steaks. I come from the state of Texas. We eat real steaks. I don't eat wrestler steaks, which is bologna steaks.
Bologna blowout, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
And that's what you made in Memphis. It was a joke. It was a damn joke.
At some point, wrestling turned a corner in the great state of Texas.
It did.
And it went from being a hotbed with the Von Erichs, the Funks, the Guerreros, the Mansfield, Scott Casey, people like that, Bruiser Brody, Tiger Conway. All of a sudden, it turns this corner and there's this heavy element of comedy. And all of a sudden, tag teams were the big deal in Texas. And they seem to have come out of nowhere, Eddy, where it was a singles guy, big man territory. Then you had the 2-man tags. Then you had the 3-man tags.
Right.
Before you knew it, you had 6-man tags and 8-man tags. When the hell did the tag teams throw the single guy rosters to the wayside? And by the way, when that happened, by way of Fritz von Erich, his boys in the Freebirds, they monopolized about 4 years of wrestling and did absolutely nothing with tag teams.
Well, that's, what people don't understand is that, myself and Terry Gordy, we used to tag together.
Yeah.
In St. Louis, at the Kill and the Checker Dome and places there where we drew big money.
Yeah.
And he I'll never forget when we were talking, me and Terry, and he looked at me and he goes, Ed, what the fuck do they think they're doing in the state of Texas? I said, they don't even know what they're doing. The bottom line is, here's Fritz von Erich. It's all about his boys, right?
Yeah.
And that's how come I always worked heel, because it doesn't matter whether it was in Southeastern or Southwest. It was always somebody's or world class. It was always somebody's son that I had to go against as a baby face, right? So, me and King Parsons were tag team with Agbar. And
Skandar Akbar, yeah, sure.
Yeah. And, I worked there for a short time, because, when my money gets funny, I leave.
Yeah.
And that's why I left Dallas, because back in the day, he didn't really care. And he still didn't care later in the day. And when to answer your question, it's tough. He ruled the roost, and he put his boys in a 3-man, which was a 6-man, against the Freebirds. Bam, 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 bam. Same old crap. Boom, 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 boom. Something Michael Hayes never really could get over. What was really funny that Bam Bam told me, which is Terry. Terry said, "You know what that PS means?" I go, "No." He says, "Pretty shitty."
So I'm not the only one that thought that, huh?
And so,
no, you're not the only one, Amelia.
And so,
not at all.
I'm just quoting. Hey,
yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just quoting, what it is. It is what it is. And the bottom line is that damn Fritz, he not only pushed his boys, he killed his boys.
He really did. He really did. And people will never know that story, Eddie. They really won't.
And you know something? I don't really give a rat's ass if people know it or not. It's the friggin' truth.
It is the truth. You and I know that.
It's a damn truth.
But you and I are of a certain age. We've been around and we know. We know the players.
Yeah.
I've been in this business 48 years, brother. That's a long time. That's a long time.
I haven't been there that long, but I can tell you one thing. I've seen it all.
Yeah, I know you have.
I've dined with kings, and I've also been in the alley eating pork and beans. So the thing about it is a wrestling business, and it was never looked at as a business. And that's what Eddy Mansfield has always had a stinking problem with.
And therein lies the problem today. And I think,
absolutely,
Eddie,
it is.
You put your finger on what happened to wrestling in Texas. It was not looked at as a business. It is a play toy by which a bunch of money marks can play wrestler for a weekend. Well, Eddy Mansfield didn't play wrestler for a weekend with Scott Casey. They did it 7 nights a week, twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday, every night of the week, 52 weeks a year. Ask Terry Funk, ask Iceman Parsons, ask Tiger Conway, ask Jimmy Valiant, ask Bill Dundee, ask them all. They did this for a living. It wasn't a weekend warrior wannabe act.
No, we did this.
This is how they paid their bills.
Right. And, something, I'll never forget this, Angelo, and you'll appreciate this. I looked at one guy and I asked him, I said, how long you been working? He said, 3 years. I said, 3 years.
3 whole years?
Yeah. I said, 3 years. I said, how many matches have you had? He said, only about 30. I said, well, excuse me. I said, I just got to tell you something. You hadn't even been wrestling a damn month. You know what I mean? I said, I used to have, we wrestled over 30 damn matches a month. So you hadn't been wrestling 3 years. You're a joke. And I said, this is what's wrong with the damn business now. They let guys like you in that are a joke. And you not only cannot, you cannot talk, you cannot work, you cannot you couldn't do squat. You got to, let me tell you something. Here's what I always tell anybody that starts a wrestling promotion. If you do not have television, when I did the IWF out of Universal, I was the first guy to ever soundstage professional wrestling. Yeah, and we were nationwide. Man, I created Smoking Guns. I mean, Rob Van Dam, all of them guys, man. And I had huge stars, and Kevin Kelly, and it's like, okay, Eddy Mansfield has created something. I scared the hell out of him, Angelo. Believe me.
I know you did, brother. I was there.
Hey, let me tell you something.
I was there.
I made Vince McMahon's asshole so tight. Pat Patterson had a tough time getting in it, and so I can tell you one thing that it's hey. It is what it is. And
damn, that's a good one.
Hey,
shit, brother, I love that. Good one.
And so anyway, bottom line is, I put the fear of God of him in WCW. That's when Eric Bischoff called me up and said, man. Hey, can I come in here? I said, are you nuts, Eric? I said, how much money you got to come in here? I said, it's kind of like a Chinese laundry in New York. No tiggy, no charity. Yeah. And so, well, you want to cough up some Benjamins, ATM, Eric? You give me a call back. But for right now, we got our own wrestling here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's talk about that for a half second, Eddie. You're a guy
that's about what it's worth, a half second. Believe me.
You're a guy that's been known to, to draw people in just by opening your mouth. What happened to the art of the promo? Where did it all go to?
Geez. You know what happened to the art of the promo?
It's a Pandora's box. I'm sorry, but I got to ask you the tough questions.
Well, you know what they are? Everybody wants to be, to this day and time, they all want to be baby faces instead of heels. All right. I was a heel my whole career. And you know how I drew money? I made it personal. I used to talk about that damn fat ass guy's wife. how she wanted to buy a ticket to see me. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I made, hey, let me tell you something. The first time I ever hit Texas, I said, look, I've been here for 2 weeks now, and I haven't seen a cowboy yet. All I've seen is a bunch of goat ropers. And so you got to make things personal. If you don't make things personal, and I used to tell him, I'm going, you know something, I'm 230 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal, and your wife is looking at me right now and saying, boy, I wish you looked like that. I mean, and so, you know, when you look over there at your fat ass and then you look at me, there's no comparison, because I'm 9 in heavy chains. And what are you? You're -3. And so it's like, so when you start dealing with stuff like that, you make it personal. That's how you draw money.
Love it.
That's it.
Well, that's why you and Cowboy Scott Casey were so good together. You called him up and down a nanny goat rider,
and a goat roper,
a patty pounder, and
he was a patty pounder too, and he was he was also a damn goat roper.
Well, he's coming on next week, so we'll talk to him about it.
Yeah, and I used to do interviews going. I'm riding down the road, you know, in my chauffeur limousine, and I look over to the right, and there's Scott Casey over there trying to rope a bunch of nanny goats. And so that's you got to make it personal.
By the way. That's true story, by the way. People want to know. That's a true story.
Yeah, it is.
I know it is.
That nanny goat riding some bitch. And so, but it's like, what would you have to do? Is like you have to make it personal.
And if you got to shoot a little bit.
And if you don't hit it hit these people at home where it really hurts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And why bother doing a damn interview?
Well, it's just like Jimmy Phillips just said. Sometimes you got to shoot a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, shit, I used to shoot every week.
I know, brother.
I mean, you know, it's like Buck Robley used to say. Just tell Eddy Mansfield you need 3 minutes, and then it's over. You know, I just do what I had to do, and so I got to get over, because that's my job.
That's right.
Absolutely, of course. Of course.
You know, one thing I think really hurt interviews is when Stone Cold and The Rock, and you know, their stuff was great, their stuff was funny, but not everybody is Stone Cold and not everybody's The Rock.
Yeah.
And you know, like I said earlier, comedy in wrestling doesn't work. You know, it.
Hey,
just,
you know something?
It never did, though, Jimmy.
Ass. Hey, I'll take my interviews and I'll put them up against The Rock or Stone Cold any day of the stinking week. Believe me.
Well, understand something. People need to understand this, Eddie. And I know you're as humble as you are sometimes. Sometimes I have to speak on your behalf, but I don't want people to know something, because I want to tell you some straight stuff right here. If you listen to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, if you listen to Stone Cold Steve Austin, if you listen to these guys that are the so-called the best promo guys in the business, they all had one prototype that they modeled their careers after, promo-wise. You're listening to him on my telephone right now. His name's Eddy Mansfield, the Continental Lover. And that's a fact, Eddie. Now, I know you won't say it, but I have to. Those are guys that they modeled their promos after you.
Exactly.
And that's fact.
Exactly.
You know?
Just
so good. Even Gino Hernandez had to steal your shit.
Yeah, he did, and I fucking spanked him for it. And
well, they had to learn from the best somewhere. They had to learn from the best somewhere.
Your boy.
You know, sweetheart, I don't know if I am the best, but I guarantee you that I would lay a smack on you in a minute, and and it wouldn't even you know, it hurt me at all. And you know, if you'll ever watch my interviews, I'm one of the first guys to ever look up that and talk and then turn around to the camera and stuff. That there were certain things that I used to do that nobody did, and you know, walking and talking and you know, 230 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal, a rich woman's lover and a poor girl's dream, and something. That's the kind of stuff that you drive home, and Shawn Michaels learned from me.
Yes,
and when you look at Jose Lothario, Jose Lothario told Shawn, "You better copy Eddy Mansfield.
Yes,
he knows how to get over."
Yeah,
and he knows, and you're his same size, and you watch him get over, you'll get over.
Yes,
and something. And Shawn has given me, the kudos of that, and I appreciate Shawn for that. And
absolutely,
because, I mean, me and Jose used to have freaking matches that were killer, and he was so much older than I was.
Yeah,
sure. But I really enjoyed working with him because he was really he was a maestro. He really was. Jose Lothario was a maestro. Yes. And there's not many maestros anymore.
No. Yeah, I grew up watching you guys at Southwest Championship Wrestling. I used to go to the matches in Odessa, Texas every other Tuesday. Watching you guys.
Odessa, baby. That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
I used to be, me and my sister would go over there with you guys. Yes.
Ector County Coliseum.
Me and my sister would go where the wrestlers were and say hi to you guys before the matches and stay with you guys and get autographs all the time.
Did you ever see
Scott
me?
Casey. Yes. Yes, me and my sister and Bobby Jaggers was there. I remember that, and I remember when Bobby
Jaggers. Let me tell you something. That fat piece of shit wasn't with me.
No, but I remember him later on.
When we popped Southwest, Bobby Jaggers had no part of that.
No, they was
Bobby
later
Jaggers
on.
Couldn't draw 2 knobs of goat shit.
But I remember you and Scott Casey, and I remember all that. Me and my sister would go down there, and we would see you guys.
I want to tell Eddy right now. I'm gonna lay it out on the air from coast to coast. Amelia, old Firecracker Chapman here. She had a thing for the old cowboy when she was a little teenager, like 14, 15 years old. She had this thing for Cowboy Scott Casey. In fact, I got a phone call from Scott today.
You're not supposed to say that.
Oh, Lord.
I got a phone call for him.
Not in front of Eddy.
And that's why he's coming on next week. We're going to talk about that. I want to see what the hell you did to this poor guy when you were 14, 15 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, old porno Scott. Okay, no problem.
You weren't supposed to tell that in front of Eddy. Now,
you had a sweetness on that. You know something?
Who wouldn't? I mean, come on.
You can thank me. You can thank me because you like that little cowboy's ass. Because you know something, he needed a plastic saddle on his ass. And the bottom line is, hey, there wasn't many sellouts in Ector County Coliseum, but me and the Cowboy did a few.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
And I mean, you can love him all you want, sweetheart. God bless you. And
I would. Those are like little crushes, us girls. But something.
Hey, the bottom line is he ain't no Continental Lover, and don't ever forget it.
It's true. It's true.
No.
Can't argue it. Jimmy Phillips Jr. Let's talk about the Texas wrestling today. You're involved with a group called Global Wrestling. Talk to me about Global.
Well, like I say, I was trained by Iceman King Parsons, and I trained a little bit with Chris Adams because they switched students there for about 6 weeks, and but I trained with Iceman for 10.5 months, and Global Wrestling Federation was working at the Sportatorium at the time, and so that's how I got started, and that's where I started. And I worked for Chris Adams on Saturday, and then we would go up to Moore, Oklahoma on Sundays. And so, it was pretty good for a year and a half that I was there, 3 days a week. It's a lot better now. I mean, it's a lot better then than it is now, where shows are going once a month.
Yeah.
And, like you said, money marks, they pop up every 2 or 3 months. And, But Global was, it's always got a piece of sentimental piece, I guess, because that's where I started. Me and the promoter owner, Gray Pearson, we're good friends.
Right.
I just wish it could have stayed open 2 to 3 more months, and I think it still would have been open.
Well,
because the last show that we did there, this is what people do. People think that the building was empty when it closed, and it wasn't. The last TV show that we did there, there was about 3,800 people there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was almost full.
We had Jimmy and Eddie. We had about 4 weeks ago. I had Miranda Gordy here, Bam Bam's daughter.
Right.
He was there when I was there. They brought
Bam Bam was there with you?
They brought the Freebirds in to try to help boost it, and it did a little bit. Yeah, Bam Bam was a great guy. I mean, they all treated me good,
I brought up Miranda Gordy for a reason. She works very old school, very much like her dad. She was trained by look her trainers were guys like Michael and Jimmy Garvin, and some of the best in Missouri and Mississippi, which is where she is now. But interestingly enough, she's got that old school, old style feel to her. When you watch her, she works a lot like her father. What saddens me about this poor girl is that no one appreciates her work unless they're not seeing what I'm seeing, unless they're looking for the flip-flop and flyers.
So she's not what's the deal with James Beard?
Brother, I don't know. I was going to ask Jimmy, actually. Maybe you
that SWE. I mean, what's that stuff?
Well, I was going to ask Jimmy about that. It's called Fury. What happened to that Fury, Jimmy?
SWE Fury was started.
That's the one. Yeah.
Was started by a guy named Tom Lance. That's all I'm gonna say. He got James Beard on board with him, and I like James a lot. James helped me a lot when I first started. True. But he's kind of pissed off at me right now, and that's fine. The heat's on him. I ain't got no heat with him. Just because we're friends don't mean that we can disagree. That we're always going to agree. If I disagree with you, there's no reason that we have to. There should not be any heat. We just disagree. Right. But anyway. Then they got Teddy Long, and they got Kevin Sullivan. Yeah. They had Tim Storm. They had a good crew. Something happened as far as management goes. People left. Then Lacey Von Erich got into it, and last I heard, she bought it from some guys. And I think her
Von Erich bankrupted the company. Let me just tell you straight shoot.
Well,
I had a friend of mine who was working for them. A guy that's been on the show a few times, Andrew Anderson. It was going down to Texas. It seemed like every couple of weeks it was going to Texas.
It was going down before Lacey got involved.
Well,
I can tell you, I don't care what Andrew. I don't care what Andrew Anderson says. I'm telling you, it was going down.
Hold on a minute. No. Back up, brother. I have to jerk a knot in your ass for just a second. Here's what happened. Andrew never said a word. Okay. What was told to me from backstage, the money people, is that Lacey bankrupted the company. She came in, and all of a sudden, it went to shit. Now, what happened between James Beard and Lacey, that the SWE Fury, which was making great headway and was bringing Texas wrestling back, what the fuck happened to this company?
Well, when you have 16 to 17 matches in one night.
Well, there you go. Hello. You just answered my question.
And by the fifth match, half the people are leaving.
Yeah, you just answered my question. That's it. A money mark bought it, and and they thought they could be a wrestling promoter, and there you go.
And
another wrestling company.
And I just want to apologize for Andrew. I thought you were talking about Andrew had said something.
No.
All right. So I apologize for that. But I will say this
is that Andrew was going down.
Yeah, he was
a lot. Him and Kevin Sullivan were going down to work.
Yeah, it was put in a pretty good spot.
Well, yeah,
Andrew was.
And
he was in a good spot.
All I wanted to find out was what the hell happened in Texas with Fury, that all of a sudden this great company went belly up overnight, literally like overnight.
But Angelo, I can tell you, I don't know all the details, but it was going down.
Yeah.
Before Lacey got involved.
Okay.
And I don't think she knew how bad it was.
Right.
And because she bought those guys out.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure who's saying that she bankrupted the company, but
that came from one of the investors.
Well, I don't know if I would believe that. I don't know if I would believe that because I think she got out when she knew that it was a sinking ship. And the reason why I say that because she's been pretty successful in her own business dealings. You know,
and that's why I'm surprised that she gets involved with this company and it's losing money the minute she goes in.
I don't think she knew.
And that's the truth. What you just said is the truth. She didn't know what she was walking into.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
And, you know, and one thing that's hurt Texas wrestling now, or I'm not going to say I heard it, but it did put a black eye. There's a group called World Class Pro Wrestling that is coming back. They're running.
Let's talk about that. Eddie, are you familiar with this group?
Me or Eddie?
Eddie.
Oh, okay.
Eddie, are you there, bro?
Did we lose him?
Did I lose Eddie?
Sounds like a car.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. You're in your car. So, yeah, Eddie, what we were talking about was SW Fury. So here's the question I have then. What does Texas need to do? You're a guy who knows the landscape well. What does Texas need to do to recoup its once great glory? There is a company coming in called World Class. They're trying to revitalize the original World Class name. Do they have a chance, or should they stop now before they get going?
Well, to tell you the truth, they need to stop before they get going. You know what they're trying to do? That's SW Fury, and that's James Beard and them. They're what they're trying to do is try to create the magic, and you know,
never happened.
Well, the magic's not going to happen. You know something?
No, it'll never happen.
Well, you know, the problem is you got the devil in there trying to damn book, and you know the devil is the devil.
Yeah.
And so that's Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
And so, and you know the book is the book, and he can't book fucking Texas wrestling.
No.
You know?
Mm-mm.
I mean, you know, to me, he can't book any fucking wrestling. And
okay.
That's just me.
Yeah.
And you know,
I guess Kevin ain't coming back on my show.
I don't mean to be ugly about it. You know what I mean? I don't mean to be anything about it, but the truth.
Sure.
And I just don't believe that he can do what he needs to do.
Yeah.
You know?
I hear you, bro.
At all.
I'm not sure anybody can unless they.
That's just me.
I don't think anybody can unless they have got some wrestling smarts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
they're okay with losing their ego. You got to get TV, and you need one
they're
booker.
okay with losing their money too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you think you're going to run a wrestling show and make 10 grand, you're wrong. It does not work that way.
You better
got
make a hell of a lot more than 10 grand on your first show.
Mm-hmm.
But you better have about 40 grand to invest.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I agree 100%. I'm just saying, but that's what people think.
You know,
see, when I left Global, I went. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Eddie. Well, when I left Global, I went out to North Carolina.
And yeah, talk about Global. Go ahead.
Well, when I left Global, I went out to North Carolina, then I went to Georgia, and it was basically the same thing. I mean, I wasn't – it was small independents. I'm not trying to put myself over. It is what it is. It was small independents. But then when I came back to Texas and tried to go to work, guys were working for free. Guys were working for $10 to $15. And I'm like, man, I didn't pay my dues for that.
Brother, can I interject something, Jimmy?
Well, that's what killed the business. Hey, let me tell you something. That's what's killed the wrestling business right there.
Brother, I want to tell you what killed the wrestling business. When guys started paying promoters so they could work.
Oh, yeah.
There are guys I know guys right now in Texas, Louisiana, and Florida that are actually paying promoters to be on a card.
Yep.
When you have to do that,
well, you really don't want to know my answer to that deal.
Right yes, I do. Yes, the hell I do. Yes, sir, I do.
Well, I can tell you what. Don't you ever say that Eddy Mansfield tried to kill the wrestling business, because you're all full of bullshit.
Yep.
Absolutely. As far as I'm concerned, Eddy Mansfield was one of the saviors of the wrestling business. Were it not for you, a lot of guys wouldn't have any help.
Hey, let me tell you something. I tried my best to do the right thing, and you know something? Bottom line is, I tried to get us benefits and everything, but you know, other people didn't see it that way.
Right.
And I really don't give a rat's ass what they see. All I see is they're jealous, and they don't want to do anything that would help our business.
Yeah.
You know that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Eddie. Thanks to you, there are a number of wrestlers in the Northeast right now who actually have health coverage, thanks to Eddy Mansfield. And thanks to your willing to put yourself out there on 2020. And that's a fact. That's a shoot. Straight shoot. I'm not going to tell you who the promotion is, but I know them. I know them well. The promoter's a dear friend of mine. I'm going to respect his privacy and his money, quite frankly. But there are a number of people between Texas and Florida, Texas, Louisiana, and Florida, in fact, specifically, that these guys are actually paying promoters to go to work.
Right.
And I think that's an absolute travesty. I think that killed the business. When you have to pay a promoter to work, do the business a favor and get the hell out. Because that's not what we're here for.
Right.
We're here to make money.
No, we're not.
And if you can't make money with your work, then you don't deserve the fucking work. There you go.
No, you don't.
Yep.
Absolutely.
You know, there's a lot of people. You know, there's a lot of people that think that wrestling boots aren't a big deal. That's bullshit. Who is going to take you serious?
Yeah, well, if you can't wear wrestling boots, you don't need to be in the damn ring.
No.
You're exactly right. Who's going to take you? Who's going to take you as a professional if you look like a bum.
It's part of your gear. It's part of your appearance.
Right.
That's exactly right. You know,
I mean, if you look like a guy in the second row, it really doesn't matter, does it?
And thank you so much, Eddie. Thank you so much, because that's where we're going. That's where we're going with this. You got people in the audience that look like they could beat up some of the guys in the ring.
and could.
I know. And that's the point I'm trying to make. When the audience looks tougher than you, you're in the wrong business. Get out. Join the circus. Be an acrobat. Go become a tumbler. Do something like that, because you're not cut out nor built for the wrestling business. What happened to guys that were built like Eddy Mansfield and built like Iceman Parsons and built like the Bruiser and built like Bulldog Brower and Bulldog Bob Brown and guys like Bob Roop? Bob Roop would rip your fucking head off.
Where can you make money? It's because you can't make money anywhere but one place.
You don't pay for that.
Jimmy, there are guys that were making a full-time living just in Texas. They never had to leave Texas.
No, I'm talking about now, though.
Oh, now.
Yeah.
Oh, no, now you better be prepared to travel the world to get a job.
Yeah.
You know? Because otherwise you're not going to get paid.
Yep. And also that happened with a couple, with the promotion that we're talking about. Guys not getting paid.
Well, here's the other part.
So
when you're spending money to make money, you're not breaking even. I assure you, you're not breaking even.
No.
You know?
No.
Well, it is up on the 8 o'clock hour. I have to say goodbye to Eddy Mansfield. Eddie, I love you, my brother. I got to cut you loose tonight, okay?
Okay, you have a good one. Be good tonight.
All right, brother.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you guys so much for everything.
Thank you so much.
In a couple of days, bro.
You got it.
Take care, bro. Bye-bye. All right. Well, it's just us chickens back here.
and you know something else, Angelo, that has hurt the business is that people are afraid to stand up to a promoter now.
Let's talk about that. I want to ask you a question about your career, Jimmy. So one of the reasons I wanted you back here when we're talking about Texas wrestling, you're a guy who had, fairly decent success on the indies, okay? Because you have a size, you have a look about you, you're a big guy, and you're very physical, okay? I would, without even knowing who you worked for, I would venture to say that you were probably one of the 3 or 5 biggest guys in your company without knowing anything about your company.
Probably 5. Probably number 5.
Okay.
Because when I first started,
that is, if you look at the trend, and Amelia and you, and I want you to comment on this too.
Okay.
If Jimmy and Amelia, if you look at the trend of guys right now that are entering the business, you'd be hard pressed, really hard pressed to find a guy that even comes close to 5'10" or 6 foot. They're all 5'7", 5'8". Okay, they're all. You'd be hard pressed to find the guy over 200 pounds without being a big fat piece of shit.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll find guys over 200 pounds, but they're out of shape. They can't work. You're lucky if they can get in the ring, let alone take a bump, let alone run the rope.
Yeah. Yeah, because of the training camps that they have.
My third guess would be nobody's training them. That's my biggest fucking pet peeve. Jimmy, let's talk about this. And then I want Amelia, I want to ask you a couple questions, Amelia. Okay. So, Jimmy, let's talk about this. Talk to me about what happened, your experience working in the indies. What happened that dissuaded you, that said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. This is not for me anymore. Because you did have that conversation.
Yeah. Pay. and getting stiff by promoters. And then, we mentioned a guy earlier, Eddy did, and you confirmed the name. And
yes, sir.
Anyway, I don't want to get in that because I'll get a bunch of heat for saying his name.
And I just
but
want to
we were.
Hold on, Jimmy. I just want to say something real quick. I know all the players involved here in pretty much every wrestling era and genre. I've been around a long time. I have a lot of friends in the business, and I know a lot of people in the wrestling business. And a lot of them are in Texas. Because Texas is, and Jimmy, you know this, Amelia, you know it being in Texas.
Yes.
Texas was a territory unto itself.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. There were 7 full-time territories just in the state of Texas. And I want people listening to really hear what I'm saying. You know, Eddy Mansfield gave me a great compliment at the beginning of the show. He said, watch Angelo's show. You're going to learn something. Well, I'm going to throw some knowledge on you right now. Texas was the single largest proponent of wrestling in the entire United States. There was more wrestling coming out of Texas than New York, Chicago, LA, and Florida combined.
Oh,
that's
exactly.
right.
Period. Not even disputable. Period.
Yep.
Now you're starving for wrestling in Texas. You've got fly-by-night promotions popping up because a guy's got a couple $1,000 that's burning a hole in his pocket. Oh, I want to be a wrestling promoter. Oh, boy. Let's get the Billy John from down the street and let's get Betty Sue and we can build a ring and woohoo. And we'll have us a show.
Yeah.
Don't work that way, guys. It costs money. It costs a lot of money. My first show cost me $50,000. That's the truth. My first show cost me $50,000 in Atlantic City.
Yep.
In a casino. Okay? That was a long time ago. And I've been back to that casino a lot of times since then. You know? But it's funny, they never had wrestling again after that. I was the first, last, and only wrestling show they ever had in that casino. I spent $50, but I made a hell of a lot more.
Good for you.
I was able to pay Vader. I was able to pay Jimmy Snuka. I was able to pay Breaker Morant. I was able to pay the Patriot. Okay. These were the names. I knew these guys. And, a couple of them are gone now.
Right.
But I knew these guys. They worked for me. They would have did it for free. But that's not the way I roll. You work for me, you get paid. You know? Here's the thing, though. Texas used to be the place. And now it's not. What happened? Jimmy, what happened?
I think when the guys, when they lost the TV, like you said, penny pinching promoters, promoters that don't pay, they want you to work. Oh, but there's no pay. We ran out of money. We didn't make it at the house. Well, you know what? If you didn't make it on the house, that's not my fault.
Yeah.
We agreed to a price. Yeah. And
you're right. You're right.
And
here's the thing, like Eddy Mansfield said, if you don't have television, you don't have a show.
Nope.
Here's why. And let me just throw some math at you, okay? Amelia, you deal with numbers all day, okay? You got a 5,000 seat, and I'm being generous, okay? A 5,000 seat venue. Let's just give it a conservative ticket price, $10 for a ticket, okay? That's 5,000 seats at $10 a piece. Let's figure out the math. What's the math on that? $50,000? Okay, 50,000. Now you've got to pay your ring crew. You got to pay your boys, your referee. You got to pay the people working your concession stand. You got to pay the doctor. You got to pay the insurance company. You got to pay the ambulance crew to come out because you have to have an ambulance. You got to pay the fire department. God forbid if there's a fire in the building, who's going to put it out? Okay? You got 50 grand. Guess what, Amelia? I just spent about 15 to 18 grand of that 50 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to pay, and now you got to pay your boys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And they don't work cheap.
No.
Not anybody that's worth their salt, they don't work cheap.
No.
You're going to pay anywhere from $300 to $500 a head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about no 20 or 30 buck local guy.
No.
I'm talking about the names that you bring in. Okay? You got to pay for your advertising.
Mm-hmm. And the rental of the building.
Your poster. You got to pay for your tickets.
Yes.
They ain't cheap to print up.
No.
Posters ain't cheap.
Mm-mm.
A radio commercial ain't cheap.
No.
Guess what? I just spent another probably $3,500, maybe $5 grand of your money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So out of 50 grand, you got probably less than half of it left.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So now, what are you supposed to do with that? You're supposed to take that money and bankroll that to your next show. There's one problem, though. You don't have enough for your next show.
Nope.
Okay? You want to know what's wrong with the wrestling business? Do the math.
Yep.
Because I just did it for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Amelia, let me talk to you now. I got some questions for you.
Okay.
You're growing up in Texas. You're watching guys like Eddy Mansfield, Scott Casey, Gino Hernandez.
Yeah.
Gino's clearly everybody knows by now. Amelia is a Gino Hernandez guy. That's her boy. There you go. She's giving me that look. Gino's the boy. Okay. And maybe Tully as the second runner-up. I don't know.
Oh, God. No.
It was worth it just to have
he's
that
like
look.
Eddie even said, no.
That question was
Gino
worth
was
it just to have
Gino was carrying Tully. Okay.
Oh my God, please. Gino carried Tully every day.
Exactly.
Here's the question I have for you.
Yes.
When you're a 15, 16-year-old, maybe 17-year-old fan growing up in Texas, first of all, I'm just assuming how old were you when you started watching?
My dad was taking me to wrestling matches when I was 4.
Okay. So you're watching.
I remember.
So you're watching wrestling as a little tyke. Okay.
A little bitty thing, yes.
So you're growing up watching this stuff. And of course, Gino is your guy the whole way. Now.
I was 12, I think, when he passed away. Yeah.
Okay. So now you're, but you continue, even though you're mourning, even still 40 years later, you're still mourning for Gino.
Well, yeah, I named my dog after him.
Here's the question I have, though. It's a serious question.
Mm-hmm.
What kept you interested in wrestling?
After he passed?
Well, here's the thing. Even though your favorite guy passed away, even though, there's nobody to like really root for anymore, you still watched it. What was it that kept you like on the TV or like going to the shows? What kept you interested?
Oh, like Southwest Championship Wrestling. Of course, you still have the Scott Caseys. You still have the Bobby Jaggers. You still had Bobby Fulton coming in, and all these Shawn Michaels when he was not as.
Bobby Jaggers is a bad word around here. So.
Well, no, not like but and then we had Bobby Fulton come in, right? And then we had Bobby Fulton coming in, and then we had Shawn Michaels coming in when he wasn't as cocky as he is now.
You mean when he was like pudgy and shit?
When he was nice, now
when he was nice,
and
he was like a little. Shawn
he was really
younger. He was a little pudgy.
He was really a nice guy in the beginning. He really was. He was a sweet, kind guy, and then
that's what happens when you get money. You get money and you get ego.
And then Southwest Championship Wrestling just disappeared, and then that was it. We didn't have any wrestling whatsoever.
Right.
And then we were like, oh my God, WWE's coming. Oh my gosh, great.
Well, before that, you had,
we didn't have anything.
if I'm not mistaken, no, wait a minute now. Southwest disappeared, and then you had World Class.
Right, but we were in Odessa. We couldn't travel to Dallas. It was like 5 hours away, so we didn't even get it on TV.
Television, though, they had TV.
We couldn't get it on our stations at all.
So in other words, World Class. It's funny because I got World Class in New Jersey.
I couldn't get it in ours.
But,
we
and I've heard
would
that.
we would hear it.
People in Texas couldn't get it, but people in California could.
Yeah, we couldn't get it in our
weird.
station.
Jimmy, how did that work, bro?
I have heard that some of the it had to do with the other promotions.
Yeah.
Yes, some of the syndicates.
Oh, well, did they have like partnership deals?
Yeah. And then KTVT Channel 11 just got so big, you know, and then Channel 39 with the 300 Club. It was Channel 39 in Dallas. You know, that got so big, so then you couldn't keep them off. And oh,
but that's that religious
and their
TV company,
and
right?
their TV was just killing everybody.
Yeah.
But going back to what has hurt Texas wrestling? Now is the same thing that hurt it years ago. And money is one. Do we remember Fred Barron?
Oh, Fred Barron's, please. The Coke dealer? Yeah. I remember him.
There you go. Keyword. Coke.
Yep.
So
Fred Barron, his reputation in the wrestling business was like a pariah. Okay. He was, they called him the Herb Abrams of Texas. Because he was,
and that's still they're still going on. It's still going on. There's one that started a company, you know, we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
I don't want to say a name, you know, get myself in trouble.
You don't have to, brother.
But he's a piece of shit.
You have freedom of speech here. Nobody's going to bust you for nothing.
But he's a piece of shit, and he knows he's a piece of shit, and that's why, you know, I've said, you know, if boys were still boys, they wouldn't work for that sorry piece of shit, and it would get him out of the wrestling business instead of helping him stay in the wrestling business. You can go back and you can look at every promotion he's ever started, ever been a part of, and it's always died. And one reason is because powder.
Let me tell you something, Jimmy and Amelia. Professional wrestling has had this long relationship with cocaine and cowboy boots. It's been going on a long time. It happened with Fritz's company, with his boys. It happened with Southwest.
Yes.
It happened with Herb Abrams. It happened with the UWF, both Herb's group and Cowboy Bill Watts' group.
Oh, yeah.
So Texas is not immune. It's also Oklahoma, Texarkana. It's Kansas City. I mean, you name it. The whole... Basically, the whole junction of the Bible Belt was a Coke bowl. I mean, if you were to call a spade a spade.
Smoky Mountain Wrestling,
Smoky, exactly. And, you know, when Eddie talks about Memphis, he ain't kidding. It was a clown show. Let me remind everybody that it was Memphis that gave us Andy Kaufman and Jerry Lawler. By the way, I knew Andy Kaufman. That's a fact. Anybody who listens to this show, they've heard me tell the story. Andy Kaufman was a friend of mine. And, but I also knew, and I didn't know as well, but I knew Jerry Lawler. In fact, Jerry Lawler cut us a nice video. He made a nice video for the show when my late co-host, Jeff the Ref Robinson, passed away. The guy that we named the Refs Roundtable after. Jerry made a really nice, a beautiful, fitting tribute video. That's on our site. You can go onto our YouTube channel and see it. Jerry the King Lawler talking about Jeff the Ref Robinson. And Jerry, I actually introduced Jerry probably four times now at various wrestling events, including I introduced two of his matches in Wildwood, New Jersey. Back at the old convention center in Wildwood. Now they've got this big monster building that's huge. In fact, WWE's there probably like once every other month. But the problem, going back to what Jimmy was talking about, The problem is money.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other problem is people taking it seriously, Jimmy.
Yep.
People they want to play games. They want to, like, let's play wrestler. Well, this is not play wrestler. This is professional wrestling.
Yep.
This is money. This is big money and real money for people who want to take it serious. Okay? And if you take it seriously enough, guys like Tony Khan and Vince McMahon will pick up their phone and call your phone. Okay? It still happens if you take the business serious.
Yep.
Sadly, though, I'm in the same boat as Jimmy and Amelia. I am no longer a huge fan of wrestling. I don't need to be. I know everybody, pretty much everybody in the business, including people working for Vince McMahon and Tony Khan. I know a lot of people in both promotions. I know people with Ring of Honor in New Japan as well. Okay? It doesn't change the fact that I still don't like the product I see.
Right.
It's bad. It's really bad because nobody's taking, they're not taking the time to work. Everybody's in such a rush to do a high spot, to do a flip, a tumble, show off their acrobatic skills. Well,
exactly.
You can impress me. Look, just because you can play a great guitar solo doesn't mean you're a great guitarist.
Nope.
You know? You sound great by yourself, but how about if I put your guitar solo with a band? Okay? Chances are you're not going to fit in with that band because you're so used to playing your own guitar solo.
Yep.
You dig what I'm saying?
Yep.
So these guys that are flip-flop and fly and doing all this acrobatic stuff and setting themselves on fire and all this other crazy shit, have fun, enjoy your career, because it's going to last about 8 minutes. I'm looking at my clock. It's going to last about 8 minutes. That's how long of a career you have. I knew guys whose career 30 years, 40 years. I knew a guy whose career was 54 years. Okay? 54 years. His name was Bruno Sammartino. And he was the longest reigning champion in the history of wrestling, period. Any federation. Okay?
Yep.
I knew Dominic DeNucci. This show was the last podcast, the last interview ever done by Dominic DeNucci before he passed away. We had his very last interview. And that some people say, even his family says, it was the best interview he ever did, was our interview. That's not me blowing smoke. That's Dominic DeNucci's family saying that we did the best interview with Dominic. Okay? It's his daughter, in fact. So, you know, people who say to me, "Oh, Angelo, MADDOG, why are you so angry, MADDOG?" You want to know why? You just heard an hour and a half of it. That's why. Thank you, Eddy Mansfield. I love you. God bless you, brother. I love you so much. I owe so much to that man. You don't even know. I owe him so much. Such a great guy. I've known him for a long time now. And he's a great guy. And he never said no to me. Never said no. And he said, "I'll be there." And here he is. And he's never been on camera with me, that little bastard. I'm getting all excited now. I'm getting tongue-tied. He's never been on camera with me. But one day I'm going to pull out $100 bill and
here for your time.
me and Eddy, we have a mutual friend.
Who that?
Scott Vaudry, and he says the same thing about Eddy. I've only met Eddy one time, is at the Red Bastille shootout in Dallas.
Oh my God, Red! My God, he said my buddy. Oh, Red Bastille.
And we just, you know, and we just said hi, how you doing? Nice to meet you, and that was it. He was talking and I was talking, you know, but we do have a mutual friend, and he says the same thing about Eddy.
I went to New York with a dear friend of mine who's now deceased. Hang out with Red Bastille and his wife. Okay, Red was a good friend of mine. dear friend of mine. I loved Red. Whenever he would come to the East Coast, we'd meet at Mario's in New York, 61st and Lexington Avenue. In case you want to know where it's at, that's the place. That was my hangout with Red Bestine. We go in there one day. We're supposed to have lunch, okay? I do the air quotes, lunch. Okay, right, Amelia? We're going to have lunch.
Right.
So here's what we do. I go in. I'm sitting there. He comes in. He and his wife, his lovely wife, beautiful woman. She's still around. Sit at the table. I'm there with my friend. Red comes in. They sit down. He orders a bottle of wine. Okay? We order a couple bottles of wine. We're drinking. We're telling the stories. He's telling stories from the old days, right? Back in the 40s and 50s, right? Like way back when wrestling was far more shoot, Jimmy, than people realize. Right? And we're talking and we're drinking and we're talking and we're drinking. And I'm realizing we don't have any food in front of us.
Yeah, I forgot lunch.
Where's the lunch? So I'm getting, the more I'm drinking, I'm feeling kind of like feeling good, but I'm hungry. And we sat there, long story short, almost 6 hours drinking with nothing in front of us but a bowl of chips and pretzels. Okay? He leaves, and my friend and I we look at each other and go, we can't drive home. My wife's going to kill me if I drive home like this. Because I'm shit-faced, and I live in Jersey, and we're in New York, and it's going to take me till Wednesday to get home. He says, are you hungry? I said, brother, I got to get some food because I can't drive home. So we ordered the biggest fucking plate of pasta you could imagine with meatballs the size they could choke a horse. These meatballs look like baseballs, Jimmy. I mean, I'll tell you what, Amelia, they brought this plate out. It took up half the table, okay? But I inhaled every last strand of that spaghetti. I was so fucking hungry. Within an hour, I was sobered up. We got our bearings. I finally got home. Keep in mind, this is a Saturday afternoon. I finally got home 4 o'clock Sunday morning. Okay? At the time. 4 o'clock in the morning, Sunday. Because I forgot where I lived. I spent the whole day in that bar getting drunk with Red. Oh, man, he was a great guy. Well, I'll tell you what. Jimmy, you are a hell of a storyteller. I'm glad that you and Eddy could talk a little bit tonight. Amelia?
Yes.
I'm very pleased with you. Very interesting first time out. You talked a lot. I like that. That's a good thing. Because the week before, you were shy. You were really shy. Were you on with us last week?
I was, yeah.
No, you were with us last week. I
was quiet in the background. So
in background,
I was just
like the wallpaper. You didn't move.
She did great tonight, huh?
Yeah. Right. Oh, she talked. She opened her mouth. She talked. But then again, Jake's not here, and we all had more room to talk.
Well, you know how they say, don't interrupt you, right?
What's that?
They say, don't interrupt.
I'm sorry. Did I interrupt? I'm sorry.
No. I said, remember how you said you don't like to be interrupted when you're talking? So that's why you were talking, and I didn't interrupt you. So that's why.
Well, okay. There you go. So next time when you talk, I'll shut up.
No. You know how you were talking, so I said, I'm not interrupting you when you were talking. So
okay. Well, if you want to talk, just tell me shut up.
No, I'm not going to do that. I would
Why
never
not
do
everybody
that.
else?
Just tell him to take a powder so you can say something.
I'm the only one that can tell you to shut up.
Well, no, everybody tells me to shut up. It's like a way of life around this joint.
I would never do that.
Well,
I would never do that. I would never tell you to shut up.
This was a really, really good show tonight. I just want to say thank you to Eddy. Eddy Mansfield is always a welcome guest. Next week, we have an interesting show. We got a very, very interesting show next week. It's gonna be something. But we got Scott Casey here next week. We also have next week. We're gonna have Scott Casey on Tuesday. on Thursday, Amelia, I keep wanting to call you Amanda. I don't know why. But
I get called Amanda. I don't know.
On Thursday, we're going to have John Cosper here.
Okay.
John Cosper is an author, a wrestling book author, who just did the book Wahoo with Karen McDaniel, and they were our guests a couple of weeks back.
That was my dad's favorite wrestler.
Yeah, what's that, Jimmy?
Is that a good book?
Oh, brother, great book.
I heard it was.
Oh, great, but you got to get it. In fact, if you order yours from John, he'll sign it for you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And you can go on the Karen McDaniel's Facebook page and buy it off of her, and Karen will sign it for you.
All right, good.
Yeah, it's great people. They're very accommodating. So that's what's going on next week. We got Cowboy Scott Casey and John Cosper. We are going to 2 shows a week. The Refs Roundtable will continue, bigger, bolder, better, and better than ever. Without my little buddy Jake Hudson. Jake will be back with us at some point, but he needs a little rest right now because we have to kind of figure out where Jake's going to fit in at. But I promise you, everybody asking about Jake, he will be back. Believe it or not, we actually have people going, "Where's Jake?" Great podcast. Thank you, Schmidt. Thank you, Darren. Jake was actually in the chat room tonight. Wow, how about that? That's interesting stuff that Jake watched the show. But he will be back, so I mean, don't worry about it. It's just I just had to figure out what I want to do. I want to thank Jimmy Phillips. Jimmy, though your career may be over as a baseball player, I still think you got a hell of a career in wrestling management or maybe even promotion.
Absolutely.
If there's anything I can do to help you out, just to hit me up. Let me know.
April 30th.
Yes, sir.
We are having a fundraiser in Detroit, Texas.
Okay.
It's about 13 minutes from Paris, Texas. Small town. Okay. Our school, our baseball team, we don't have a lot, so we're gonna have a benefit show for our baseball team. We got some good guys coming in. Got some good guys, and
who you got?
We got Action Jackson from Dallas. Actually, he's from Texarkana, Arkansas, but he's been in the Dallas area for a long time. He's been to Japan, Puerto Rico.
Wow.
And got Scott Murdoch, who was trained by Dr. Death Steve Williams, who's I really don't know why somebody has not picked him up.
I knew Dr. Death. He was a great guy. Rest his soul.
Yes.
Yeah. And oh man.
Well, if I can hook you up with a name, would you take him?
Yes.
I'm going to call.
I appreciate it. And I got to call you too. So let me know when it's a good time to call you because remember how we talked about sponsorship, yada yada. Huh?
Not till next week, Jimmy. I got a lot going on.
Yeah, that's fine. I know you're busy. That's why I was wanting you to tell me. I want you to text me when you're available because I got some good news and
terrific. Well,
I can't let any beans
everyone
out of the bag yet, but I will.
You just reminded me. I want to thank everybody for the wishes of condolence on the passing of my father. You guys have been absolutely amazing, and you took some of the hurt off. You took some of the burden off, and I've been under a lot of stress this last couple of weeks, especially this last week. I've been a little unhinged. It took me a couple of days to get my shit together and refocus. Sometimes
I understand.
That's sometimes you just have to blow it off and let it go, and then regroup. I did that.
That's right.
Yeah.
I did that when I took my dog for a walk. There's nobody around. I just blew it out, let it out. Okay, so now that I'm back and I have my faculties about me, well, some people would, they might adjudicate that issue, whether Angelo has his faculties at all. But yes, I do. Jimmy, we will definitely get together. I promise you, no later than Wednesday of next week. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to cut you out of here.
All right.
Because I'm going to say goodnight to my co-host and tell her what a great job she did. So I'm going to kick your ass out of here, brother. Take care. I will see you in a couple of days, Jim.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
You
Have a
bet.
good
Good
one.
night, Jimmy.
All right, kids, you and me.
Hey.
Well, I'll tell you what.
What?
I'm proud of you. You did good tonight. You held your own. If you can hold your own with Eddy Mansfield.
Oh, my gosh.
Ain't he a pistol?
Yes.
Man, he's a trip.
And did you see how quickly I said, "Oh, I apologize. I just meant his career. I didn't say anything."
Man, he's quick.
I slid right in there, didn't I?
Well, you know what it is? You got to remember something.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes. His training was a lot of what he did was off the cuff.
Mm-hmm.
His training was on the job training.
Yes,
They didn't have schools back then. They learned wrestling by getting in the ring and getting the shit beat out of them.
Yeah, they didn't learn by handbook. They just said, "Get in there and go."
Yeah, and that's the thing. They learned how to cut a promo.
Yes.
By just doing it.
Yeah, because they didn't have the cards like they do now. Like, here, you got to say this. And,
please, if you would have ever
the cue cards,
back in the day, held up a cue card, for Fritz von Erich or Gary
he'd be
Hart,
he'd be like tearing it up, like, yep.
Oh man, please forget about it.
Yeah.
But you remember something though. He worked with guys like Tony and Scott and Bruiser Brody, and Gino.
Yeah.
He worked with these guys, and you learn to adjust your style and your promo to the people you're working with. Gino was easy because he was an easy guy to hate.
Oh yeah.
Now I got to give Eddy credit because for the first time in a long time, he was actually kind.
Because I was probably here.
Well, he was. You know what? You better smart ass. He was actually. I'll get this out. He was kind. Speaking about Gino, because they did a little bit have some heat there. But Gino, as you heard Eddy say, and as you know from the history, being a big fan of Gino had heat with a lot of people.
Oh yes.
He was one of those guys. He was just too cocky, too smart, too good looking, too everything. He was the perfect package and the perfect storm. That was Gino.
And he knew it. He knew it right from the beginning.
And that's the thing. Amelia, he knew this shit. He knew he was good.
Oh yeah.
He knew he was cocky. He knew he was good looking.
He put a microphone in front of him, and that was it.
And what worked for him ended up killing him.
Yes.
And that's what happened. Gino became a victim of his own devices.
Yes.
You know, that is a wrestling lesson that we are going to actually address. And forgive me while I reach for my calendar.
You're fine. You're fine.
Because I want to tell you that we have the Gino show is coming up actually next week. Next Tuesday on the Refs Roundtable. We're doing the Gino Hernandez show. And who's coming with you?
I think you said Courtney was, I think.
Okay, good.
Oh, when you're doing that, I wanted to let everybody know that today would have been Chris Adams' birthday.
Yes, I knew. I knew. I forgot.
Yeah, and yesterday, I don't know if you remember Candy. She went by the name of Candy Divine.
Divine is.
She passed away yesterday.
Her phone number's still in my phone.
Yeah, she was 63 years old.
Yeah, I actually talked to her. This is a straight shoot. I actually talked to Candy about coming on the show about 4 months ago, and she was excited about doing it.
Oh yes, it would have been a pleasure to meet her.
Tell you, she's the second guest.
Yes.
That I lost to death.
Oh my gosh.
The first was Hacksaw Butch Reed. I spoke to Butch Reed, and then 2 months later, tops, he passed away. over, and I just keep going over in my head like I would have loved to have those interviews, but who thinks at the time,
right?
But they happen to be, legends that were booked and never got to be interviewed. So at least I had the chance to talk to them in person.
Absolutely.
Or over the phone anyway. Candy was a sweetheart.
Yes.
She'll be missed by her friends and family and her fans. And while we're on the subject, Daphne, rest in peace.
Yes.
That was a tortured soul. Daphne sure was a tortured soul. And I knew Daphne. She actually worked the show in Atlantic City for me. Or she was supposed to work the show. She showed up and never worked. And of course, and Butch Reed, just a legendary guy, sweet man that we wanted to have on the show. And we called him and we booked it, and he died, and we never got to have him. But sometimes fate intervenes like that, and you just have to. You just got to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. So let's talk, you and me. We got a couple of minutes left.
Sure.
You're going to have some input on the show, and I want to know maybe who you'd like to have on, and maybe get some of your insight as to where your head is wrestling wise. Who'd you like to have on, and or what topics? Let's put it this way. I'll do a 2-part question for you. What topics would you like to address, and who would you like to see here?
Just basically, what people think of wrestling is, how wrestling is now compared to back then. Their opinions, basically. Who, maybe like Missy Hyatt, maybe if we can get her on, maybe, and then maybe Nikki Roberts again.
Okay.
See if she can come back on. Maybe if we could get maybe Bobby Fulton on again, because he was having some health issues, and I want to see how he's doing now.
Interesting.
If you remember him.
Sure.
Because he was starting, he was in Southwest Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
At one time. See how he's doing.
How is he physically now?
He should be doing a lot better. He did have some surgery on his throat because I don't know.
He had throat cancer. Yeah.
Yes, and
I know
he's doing better now.
I know his son did Dylan.
Yes, he's a sweet kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's had some loss.
Yeah, I actually have a phone number on him too.
We could get both of them. That'd be nice. Both of them.
Yeah, I tell you what, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
I wanted to do this. Make a couple notes of that.
Okay. Get both of them on
off the air.
Okay.
Yeah, when you and I get off the air, I'm going to give you my phone number.
Okay.
And we can talk show stuff.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll put like a hit list together.
Okay.
I want to put a hit list together.
That's why you call you MADDOG.
We'll save that for mob talk. Put a hit list together.
Okay.
Now I sound like Dick the Bruiser. Come on, you punch in that gate.
You have to think of a different nickname for that show.
What, Mob Talk?
Yeah, you have to think of a different nickname for that one.
Oh, no, that's the name of the show. It's called Mob Talk.
No, a nickname for me for that show.
I'll give you.
That's a joke.
With a different name.
That's a joke.
We'll call you Amelia Hit Squad Chapman.
Just don't call me Amanda. No, just kidding.
No, we'll call you. Your middle name is Bolerio. That's your maiden name, right?
Yeah.
We'll call you Bullets Bolerio.
Oh.
There you go. It sounds Italian, but you are Mexican.
Yes, I am.
There you go. Okay. I'll never call you a tamale. That's for damn sure, ever. Because that just sounds so sexist.
But my aunt makes some good ones, though.
Sound good. So here's what we're going to do.
Okay.
We're going to put a little list together for our folks watching. And why don't we do this? I want to put something up here.
Why don't we ask the guests as well with who they like to see as well?
Well, here you go. Would you like to be a guest on the show? Here's how.
Yeah.
You can email wrestlingwiththefuture@gmail.com. Address it to care of Amelia if you want to talk to her, or care of Angelo if you want to talk to me. And if you don't give a shit about me, then just talk to Amelia because she's there. The other thing, if you want to suggest show topics. There's the email, WrestlingWithTheFuture@gmail.com. We answer everything that comes in. I assure you of that.
Absolutely.
We answer everything. And there's nothing that we won't do to bring a guest on. If I have the power to bring them, I will do it. So long as it doesn't cost me any money.
Right. And my favorite drink is Pepsi, by the way.
There you go.
I love Pepsi.
Look, we love Pepsi too.
I love Pepsi.
They're part of the reason we're here.
Mm-hmm.
And manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you, my friends. Your balls will thank you. You know what our commercial for Manscaped used to be? Did you ever hear it? Do you have sweaty balls? Or volleyball netty balls? It's time to make them ready balls. The manscaped.com Lawnmower 3.0 will clean your knob. It'll do the job with its patented no-nick head, so your head will function as desired. You can't make this shit up. I still remember this. I don't know why I remember it, but I do. Yeah. Manscaped.com. They're still with us, too, and they love us, and we love them.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, Amelia, we are going to say goodnight to everybody. On behalf of Amelia Firecracker Chapman, I am Angelo Mad Dog DeCipio. Join us next time as we continue each and every week to wrestle with the future. Good night, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.